Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This video today is all about my bucket list. So I'm going to be popping in a picture here, which is going to have a list of all the things that I want to do on this bucket list. But I'm going to go through some things I've already done. If you're wondering why I have a bucket list, I'm not imminently dying. That's not happening. But I am making a really big effort to make some really solid memories with my kids should the worst happen. Everything about my intestinal malrotation you can see in the video that I posted today, and that will explain everything about how I got diagnosed, what the condition means, what the risks are, and maybe I'll make this make a bit more sense. So, first thing on the bucket list was to go to Cyprus. Cyprus was somewhere that I really wanted to spend some time with the kids. Just before I got diagnosed, I was actually on a hen do in Ayia Napa, living my best life. The person that I was after the diagnosis compared to before it is just worlds apart. I was literally living life to the fullest. And then, what was that, June, July? Then 2 months later, everything sort of come crashing down around me. But taking the kids to Cyprus was a massive, massive deal to me. I wanted to get them out there. They'd never been on a plane before. I'm going to add in a little video here so you can see, because they were so excited to get on this plane. Something that was really important to the kids, they wanted to go on boat trips. We taught them to swim before we went out there. So we did lots and lots and lots of swimming lessons. And it's totally paid off, because the fun that these two had at the water park was actually just amazing. Like, it was one of the best things to see. We did so much crazy stuff. We rode quad bikes, we swam in the Blue Lagoon, we swam in the sea at like 10 o'clock at night, just the four of us, which was really lovely. What else did we do? We went to a Lima park. Actually, the Lima park, again, I'm going to insert some pictures here. The Lima park is probably one of my favorite days, because it was the last day. Our flight was at 10 o'clock at night, and our checkout was at like 10 o'clock in the morning. So we had to like get everything out, load it into the little rental that we had hired for the week. And my husband, just absolute champ, just drove around to all of these different things that I was finding. One of those things was it's called the big potato. I just stumbled across it whilst looking at our route on the way down to the airport. And I thought, you know what, let's just go see this big potato. But yeah, Cyprus, absolutely amazing. So that was a week out there. It was me, my husband, our two kids, and we took my husband's mother as well. Mostly because over the last couple of years, whenever we've wanted to go on holiday, she's come down and she's looked after our pets. And we just thought it would be quite funny to say, we're going on holiday again, but do you want to join us this time? She had a really lovely time. And actually, it was really funny, because the one thing that we were all a little bit like, oh, is she going to like this, or is it going to be awful? Was quad biking. So we done off-road quad biking. And my husband's mother is an absolute champ, because she just flew. She loved it. I've never seen anyone so happy in all my life. I think she probably enjoyed it more than me, if I'm being honest. Off-roading was a little bit scary, but loved riding on the road. That was brilliant. I had our daughter on the back, my husband had our son, and it was just fantastic. It was a really good holiday. It was quite rough. So leading up to the holiday, I just had I think it's called an endoscopy. I don't know. They put a tube up my nose, down my throat, into my stomach, and then into, I think it's the first part of the intestines. So that come back saying that I'd had some erosive gastritis. So I was being medicated for that. I was also dealing with a lot of nausea at the time. and we were having a nightmare picking up my anti-sickness tablets before the holiday. We managed to get them and it was okay. And touch wood, I had a really solid week. Didn't have any problems that were that bad. Didn't have any accidents, which is a bloody massive win in my books. So yeah, that was Cyprus. So second thing on the bucket list wasn't actually on the bucket list. And to be honest, when we went to Cyprus, it wasn't even really spoken about that we was going to do this bucket list. But I would say around 4 weeks after I found out this news, I was probably at one of the lowest points I've ever been in my life. I'd sat down and wrote my will with a friend. That was really hard. The hardest thing about writing the will was the kids. So it was like, are the kids going to be okay? What's going to happen to them if something happens to me? It was a tough time. And my husband, for whatever reason, went out and got me an experience day. And that experience day was something that me and him have spoken about so many times over the years. And it was to drive my dream car, which is a stunning car, by the way. It is the Nissan Skyline R34. My dream car is the one that Paul Walker drove in the Fast and Furious movies. You know, the silver one with the blue decals, absolutely stunning. I've always said I wanted one. That's my like ultimate dream car. So like at one of the lowest moments of my life, he got that for me. And to be honest, for quite a while after he got it, I really struggled with the thought of using it, like booking it in. And I think it was because it was all kind of hitting home a bit that we were really in uncertain times now. Like we don't understand what our options are, where we can go to next. And I think he was just trying to give me something that would bring a bit of light back to my life. But I was so nervous to go and do this drive. It was up at a place called Drift Limits. Cannot recommend them highly enough. Had so much fun. Had a blood test the day before, which was really rough. They took it from my bicep. I have real difficulties with my veins. They are very thready. They're very small. Most of the time that I go get bloods out, they have to use the ultrasound machine like they do when you're pregnant. Is chaotic, right? So my arm is like dead because they've taken it from my bicep and I'm like, I've got to drive a car. I've not drove this car before. I was getting really stressed out. But we drive up there and everything must have just been on my side that day because I was the only person on the track. So it was just me in this car with this guy that was telling me how to take race lines and stuff. I mean, it's not my business. I shouldn't know these things. I think we done like 10 or 15. I can't remember how many laps it was because I just laughed and smiled all the way through. My husband and the kids, they were on like this double-decker bus, which was right in the middle of the track. So when I show you the footage, you'll see that it looks like he just stood in the middle of the track. He technically is, but he's on this double-decker bus, which I think is just fantastic. That was such a cool day. And it came at a really good time. I was so low and I just couldn't cope with everything that was going on. I couldn't deal with all of the stresses of life at that point. So to drive that car was brilliant. But again, it didn't come without its drama. So I'm 5'5". I'm not the tallest person in the world. These cars, because they're tracked, they are like bucket seats and roll cages and everything's quite like reinforced, but everything's also quite like locked in. So I get into this car and I go to reach for the clutch and it's bucket seats. I'm harnessed in, I'm like right back and I can't move and my foot doesn't reach the clutch. And I was like, oh no, this isn't very good. I ended up getting around that issue. He got a pillow out and I was like a child that couldn't see at the cinema, but a very happy one. And there was lots and lots of giggling that went down on that track. And my husband said you could actually hear me laughing from the middle of the track. Impressive, right? So, yeah, that's the second one that was on the bucket list. Third one that was on the bucket list, again, wasn't planned, very spontaneous, just in the moment. These are all things that I've wanted to do. And I think because of this shift on perspective, I'm like, screw it, let's just do it now. Let's just do this now. Let's just do this now. I get really excited now because I'm like, what do we have to lose? We have nothing to lose anymore. So the next one was going to the cots, but this was not planned to any extent. And I mean like any extent at all. So I get rebooked back in for another CT of contrast, which is really stressful because, again, we've got to get a line in. Not only is this line got to go in, but because the CT with contrast, when they put you in the scanner that scans your whole body, they have to flush the dye in really quickly. So they need a bigger needle. Problem with me is the only size needles that we can get in are I've always called them butterfly. I'm trying to think. I think they're pink or they're blue. They're like the tiniest needles you can get. They probably use them on babies, like newborn babies. They said we need to use one of the biggest needles. So I was just stressed, really, really badly stressed. I go down there. I sit there for probably 2.5, 3 hours. They cannot get the line in, so they send me home. On the way home, I think this is how the story goes. It's been a while. On the way home, I said to my husband, you know, there's a zoo up in the Cots and you can take your dog and we could take our lovely dog, Creed. This is little Creedy. We could take him to go and see the penguins, the giraffes, the lions. Like, I want him to see everything because like dogs have short lives, and I thought like let's just fill his life with these amazing things. Like, let's do this, let's have some fun. So we got home, we packed the car, I booked a travel lodge for the first night. So we drove down there, we slept in this travel lodge just straight away, and then we drove to the Cots. I can't remember what the zoo is called. If I remember it, I will write it in here as well. Amazing, just an absolutely incredible day. We saw so many animals. The animals that stood out to me that I remember Creed really, really enjoying were the camels. They really, really, really loved these tiny little, they might have been meerkats, possibly. I'm not entirely sure what they were, but he loved the meerkats and he loved the penguins. Just such a cool experience. We should have, in theory, come home that night after going down there because of school and all of these other commitments that we had. But no, I said, let's book somewhere else. So then we end up at this brilliant place. Again, cannot recommend highly enough. It's called Cotswolds View. Brain is like a sieve. Amazing. We stay in this little like pod type setup. It's like a little wooden shack. We've got a fire. Me and the husband sat under the stars all night, trying to find little twigs on the floor to keep this fire going that we'd had going all day. And it was so beautiful. It was just so beautiful. So that was kind of like the cot summed up in that respect. The next thing on the list was impossible. So that was hard. It was really difficult to deal with. I'd been speaking with my parents on and off for a couple of months about the fact that as a family we'd really love to have a motorhome, because how cool would it be to just get in something, drive, and it's like a hotel on wheels. We can take the dog wherever we want to go and everything will be fine. But we start looking and we realize it's really, really, really expensive. We can't physically afford to buy one outright that we're going to use. So that was hard, but you know, we've been together a long time and we've always sort of done everything for ourselves. We know things are difficult to buy and it's hard, especially with me off work now because of the issues and the symptoms make it difficult to work at the moment. But my nan gave me some inheritance money, and things changed quite quickly. My mum rings me. I'm at a very, very early Christmas party in November in a pub. I've had a drink and I get a call, and my mum says there's one, it's like half an hour down the road and you've got enough money to cover it. I was like, oh my God, do we do it? So they send me the pictures. I'm looking at the listing on Facebook Marketplace, like, is it a scam? It seems too good to be true. Is everything okay with it? I don't know what to think. My mum says we can go look at it at 9 o'clock in the morning. For context, I live at the bottom of the country and my mum lives like up in the middle. There's about 200 plus miles between us. It is not a quick journey to make. But she rings us at 10 and she says, it's perfect, or, everything's good. We're happy. If it was us, we'd buy it. Do you want to? We said yes. We have a camper. I looked at my husband and he was like, let's just insure it and go. Let's just go get it. So again, during school time, everything's up in the air, spontaneous. This whole bucket list has become very spontaneous. We drove all the way down there and we slept in it. We pulled up, we spent some time with my mum and my dad, and then we spent the night in the camper. And I honestly don't think I stopped crying for like 2 days. It was so emotional. I was so tired from the trip. I'd been in a lot of pain that week. I nearly ended up in the hospital on the Wednesday beforehand. That was a really tough week. And then I find myself at like 11 o'clock at night, sat in the front of this motorhome going, like, it's so peaceful. And I felt really at peace. And I think it's the first time in my life where I felt like I've got everything I could ever want. And then I realised I'm very easy to please, because this motorhome camper van, that we haven't decided what we're calling it still, it's 40 years old. It was registered in 1985. It doesn't need an MOT. It doesn't need tax. It's so old school. There's so many little things we need to do to it. We need a new boiler. We need taps. We need to put a ladder in. Like, there's so many things. But in that moment, I was just like so at peace. So at peace with the fact that it felt over for a minute. Like, all the chaos and all the stress and all the like just horrible things that go on in a day-to-day life now just felt really calm. I just love it. So now that we've bought the vehicle, and massive thank you to my nan and my granddad for helping with the financial side, and my mum and my dad for helping with literally everything. Picking it up, bringing it back, showing us how to do everything in it, because we didn't have a clue. I think they gave us some wheel chucks. I don't know what they are. That's a man's job. It's not my problem. I'm passenger and I'm sleeping and I'm happy. Without all of that support, it just wouldn't have happened. This would not have happened. I'm really happy. So in terms of the bucket list, that's kind of where we're at with that. We've done Cyprus, we've done Skyline, we've done the cots, we've got the camper. So bizarrely enough, the next thing on the bucket list for me is I really want to go to London and do the live traitors experience. I think I could win. I just want to do it really bad. I want to go down to London and I want to go and do the traitors experience. And then I think the ultimate, the big one, probably next summer, I want to drive to Spain and I want to swim in the sea. It's very specific. I want to swim in the sea with the dog at like 10 o'clock at night. The dog and the kids and my husband, just our perfect little family. That's the plan. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. I mean, I say you, I don't know if even anyone's ever going to watch this. It might just be my personal vlog, you know, and something that the kids have one day, you know, hopefully years and years in the future when I'm gone, that they can see that mum just grabbed life with both hands and just did all these things. I won't leave this planet with any regrets. I'm going to have so much fun doing this bucket list, and I'm going to keep adding to it because life is short, time is not guaranteed, and why not? But yeah, I'm going to try and convince some poor person to come and join me to do this traders experience. But yeah, any experiences I do, I'm going to blog them and post them and keep you and my babies updated on how mummy spent all of her free time when she wasn't trying to get medical help. Thank you all for watching. Adios.